my god. All of my notebooks. Hi, Sarah here. Welcome back. We've got a lot of journals and notebooks I want to get through today. Literally, look at all this stuff. So this is a mid-year journal update. I essentially want to share the journals and notebooks and stuff that I've been into at the beginning of the year, want to share how it's going for me, and also look ahead for the next year, 2025. I have really gotten into stationery and notebooks this year. I've really been enjoying the analog feel of just working in notebooks. I still do have a lot of digital notes, but I've also really been enjoying transferring those notes or keeping some of those notes in my analog journals and notebooks here. The notebooks and journals I want to talk about today are divided into like 3 main tasks that I've noticed I have needs for. One is planning or task capture, which means how do I take notes during the day of what tasks do I want to do? How do I plan ahead for the future days, future weeks? Another main task or main purpose is note taking, and another task for my notebooks is also memory keeping. So that includes writing down things in my diary, taking photos, printing out photos in my diary, and other forms of memory keeping. So with these 3 purposes in mind, again, task capture, note taking, and memory keeping, I want to share the journals and the notebooks that I've been using this year, share what's worked for me, what hasn't worked for me, how I've adjusted, and what I'm trying out. If you're also into planning or stationery or just like to be a little bit extra with journals and notebooks and stationery, like I'd love to hear from you. Probably why you clicked on this video, right? Because you want to see literally all these notebooks, this wild system I've been experimenting with this year. So let's get into it. The first planners I'm sharing, the first purpose of these notebooks is for planning and task capture. So this is my week planner. This is my daily planner. I just posted a journal with me video where I shared my process of how I plan for the week and for the day and just how I journal and scrapbook and really just do my whole day planning shenanigans. To recap, I use the week planner to plan out basically my week, and I use my page a day planner to write down tasks and brain dump and ideas and literally anything I want to do or write down for the next day. This is a Slingshot organizer. This is created by the Slingshot Collective. Slingshot Collective is a nonprofit that is based in Berkeley, California. Every day they have these like little information tidbits related to like different social activism movements throughout the history of the United States. So for today, the day I'm filming is Sunday, 1974, President Ford pardons Nixon. So this is a very indie kind of organizer or notebook. I know there's other week planners and organizers that exist that maybe are more structured, but honestly, like this kind of book is very simple, it's very small and portable, and I really like it. So I would definitely like to use this again next year. I will just have to find a local bookshop that stocks indie things like this that I can buy from. The other planner I have for task capturing and planning is my proper name is Hobonichi Techo Original, and this is the A6 version, which is the size. Size is A6. I feel like my creativity has been so exercised this year using this page a day planner. I know a lot of people like use these kinds of books to actually do either journaling or actually do planning. For me, I'll use this as a catch-all notebook for tasks, ideas, some light journaling or logging whatever happened in the day. Just anything that comes to mind. It's been so fulfilling having this page a day planner. Every day is a new chance to scrapbook, to plan, to write down ideas, to dream. It's just been so much fun and such an amazing artistic outlet for me. This Japanese planner brand, Hobonichi, they do make other versions of this size planner. They also have this page a day planner in an A5 version, which is like twice the size. So this would be one page of the A5 planner. I've debated getting that bigger planner for next year, but honestly, I really like the size of this planner. It's very portable and I don't like the look of blank pages. So I would just prefer to fill up this small page a day planner every day instead of having like a lot more room. Any extra notes that I somehow can't fit in there can just go into other notebooks, other scrap paper or my diary or anything like that. So this planner system has been working really well for me. This is definitely a system that I will continue on into the new year. Here's another notebook I've got. This one is for task capture and a bit of memory keeping as well. The brand of this notebook is Archer and Olive, and this notebook is essentially a dot grid bullet journal kind of notebook. I had the idea to use this as a yearly collections journal. So there may be some pages and lists that I might want to track throughout the year. They don't really fit in this page a day planner because this book is meant for an everyday short-term planning kind of deal. So anything that I want to track long-term, whether it's tasks or whether it's memory keeping, can go in this yearly collections journal. And then when I'm done with this bullet journal for the year, I can just flip to the next page and continue on with 2025, 2026, etc., etc. So it's pretty cool to have this like year after year. It could essentially kind of be like a 5-year journal for me. So some examples of collections or lists that I've journaled, drawn, kept in this book are my card of the year, my cards of each quarter. I've got a bucket list and future tasks list. I've got this list that is 24 24s in 2024. So it's basically a bunch of different things that I want to keep track of during the year. I definitely feel the extraness, the total extraness of it all. But for me as a hobbyist, it can just be really satisfying to look back over the year and just see the things I've completed or that I've tried. Here's some of the categories I've been tracking this year. Books read, new YouTube channels discovered, tarot videos I've made, whether a video response or original content, decks I've received, board games I've tried, new recipes, friend gatherings, family gatherings. So I've been tracking like a whole bunch of stuff. I definitely went all out in decorating this at the end of last year. I could have just made simple lists. Maybe I will do that for next year, who knows? But this just is all part of the like artistic outlet that this notebook provides me. So it's been satisfying to check in with this notebook once in a while whenever I remember and just catch up on, the things that I've done. The next section here is these monthly collages. So I've sectioned out 12 pages, and every page is essentially just an outlet for me to collage and add photos and write stuff and just decorate as a month in review kind of thing. And it is just so satisfying to flip through these little section of pages and see these photo highlights of the month. Oh my gosh, isn't that just so satisfying? Oh my gosh. I have to do my August collage, so all the materials are like in here so far. But yeah, this is just so satisfying to look at all in one section. In this page that is taped together right here, I wrote a letter to myself at the beginning of the year, and I also have some like favorites that I wrote down at the beginning. I guess the idea is to write down your favorites and thoughts from the beginning of the year and then check in again at the end of the year on December 31st and see what's changed, what stayed the same. So at the end of the year in December, I will happily, look at my favorites at the beginning and read this letter and probably feel sentimental or not, who knows. I've also been tracking board games that I've tried or played this year. I actually got a BG Stats app, so I've been doing more tracking in the app. I can keep track of like how many points everyone got, who won, who lost, when, where we played. But I still like writing down analog in this journal, in this notebook. It's just a light form of memory keeping, I also wanted to track the boba places I've tried near me. First of all, how Californian is this, right? Tell me you're an Asian in California without telling me you're an Asian in California. But also, I just have tried so many places and I can't remember what I like or don't like from each one. So it's just kind of satisfying to write down notes of each. Yeah, so there's that. Some washi tape samples. I was feeling sad about some washi tape being used up, so I was like, oh wait, I should save some so I can always remember that I once had these and I can remember what they look like. One thing I love about stationery is that it's just so satisfying to touch. It's so tactilely interesting to touch and to flip things. Oh my god, journaling is so much fun. And then I've got these quarterly reviews. So I've got the quarter one review, 24 goals between me and my spouse for quarter one. It felt like a bit much, so I trimmed it down to 20-ish goals for quarter two. And then we've got quarter three, and then quarter four will be coming up soon. I like having the quarterly goals in this notebook as well because, again, just very satisfying to see them all together like this. I don't need this kind of stuff in my page-a-day planner, right? Like, it's nice to just have this a little bit out of the way. I can reference it occasionally, but I don't need it, like, always accessible to me. So that's my yearly collections journal. So this is mainly for task capture and memory keeping. Now, speaking of memory keeping, this is the next set of books I want to share. We've got my diary, my tarot journal, and my Commonplace Notebook. First, we've got my diary. As you can see, it is a thick one. Very, very thick with like 1,000 C's. This is a Moleskine notebook, and this notebook actually comes with extra pages. It might be twice the size of a regular notebook. And I remember when I first got this, I was so excited to have a diary that would last like a really, really long time. I literally started this in December 2022. That's pretty much 2 years ago. Now at this point, I'm kind of tired of it. I'm ready to move on. I have a different notebook planned to buy for the next year that is going to be a little bit bigger and the paper is going to be a little bit thinner and it's going to be easier for me to scrapbook in. So I'm so ready for this one to be done. I'm going to use this till the end of the year and then happily say sayonara As my diary, this holds a lot of my private thoughts and processing thoughts. At the beginning of this notebook's journey, I did not do much scrapbooking. You can see that these first pages are so much thinner compared to this literally middle third of the book here. I can see that from Q4 23, literally last year, this is when it literally ballooned into the diary that it is now, the diary that I love, that serves me now. I really, really enjoy scrapbooking in this. Here's an example of some pages here. This is some pages from my New York trip last month. Look at this compared to like these kinds of pages. It's so simple, and of course this is a style that I had like 2 years ago, but this is way more my style now. It's so artistic, there's so much variation, it's texturally and tactilely very interesting, and I've got some scrapbooking, I'm keeping my memories and like little receipts and random stuff in here. I've also been keeping mail that my friends have given me, like more in here. I was keeping them in sort of like a mail box of sorts, kind of like a shoebox, and or saving them for my junk journal. But I feel that just sticking them in my diary is just so much more satisfying than having it in a separate journal. So for next year, I will definitely just continue scrapbooking in my diary and enjoy filling it up this way. Even though looking at long form journaling pages like this can be really satisfying, honestly, I really enjoy this kind of scrapbooking and memory keeping a lot more. I also am becoming more liberal with scrapbooking and sticking stuff in here in these last months of 2024 because, like I mentioned, I am getting sick of this book. I'm sick of the paper. It feels so like normie for me. I want to graduate to a separate notebook with thinner paper and scrapbook more in there, and it's a bigger notebook. So I'm going to make this last few pages as thick as I can. I highly recommend keeping a diary for anyone who is slightly interested in journaling and writing down their thoughts. Your thoughts don't have to be very deep and existential all the time. You can literally write down the things that you enjoy, things that you're pondering, what you ate for dinner, what you ate for lunch, the recipe you want to make next. You can just write down anything you want. The benefit of a journal is that I just get to brain dump and process out loud and just share like my life with a diary. Like I could share this with a friend as well, but like my diary is not going to complain that I'm talking too much or that what I'm sharing is not important, you know? Like treat yourself with importance. Use a diary, whether analog or digital, to log down your thoughts and musings and whatever you think is important or not important. It's just fun. It's just fun, man. This page here, I recently got some new tape and stickers, so I enjoy just sampling them in here. These stamps are from the small business or the artist everydayexplorers.co. So that is a look at my diary. Hooray for me. I hope I finish this by the end of the year. I mean, even if I don't, it's okay if there's a few blank pages. I've used this a lot over the past 2 years and I'm ready to move on. Next notebook I've got is my tarot notebook. This notebook was a gift from my friend Katie last year. This book specifically is a Hobonichi, so I brought out my day planner again because same company, same brand. Hobonichi. This one, the page a day planner, is called the Techo Original. The one that I have here for my tarot notebook is called the Day Free. So the Day Free is essentially a grid notebook, but it doesn't have any dates on them like a dated planner would. This is different from a grid notebook because it has pages for the year. It's got these year in review pages here as well, and then these month in review pages as well. I have really enjoyed using this Hobonichi Day Free notebook this year and giving it a spin. And just listen to the crinkle of these pages. Oh my gosh. It has been so satisfying to use each page as a chance to decorate again. Just enjoy this artistic outlet of decorating. The pages are so thin, yet so durable. Like I use gel pen and the gel pen hardly shows through on the other side of the page. It's funny because at the beginning of this year, I was calculating the pages like, okay, there are 171 pages in this notebook. That's like, what, 14 readings or 14 pages a month? But as the year went on, there's definitely no way I'm using like 14 whole pages every single month. I think last month, August, I did like 3 pages, and that's just how my tarot practice goes, right? So I've been filling up these pages in other ways, such as doing card studies like this one. I also can use it to plan out videos or plan out future activities like a possible pen pal activity. Even so, the main thing I use this tarot notebook for is just doing tarot readings, but I can still use it in the future for all sorts of tarot activities and tarot musings. I'm only on page like 73, and again, there's 171 pages to go through. Interestingly enough, for the month pages, they actually have like 14 or 15 months in here. So it actually goes up until March 2025. So I could theoretically use even these month pages well into next year as well. Speaking of these month pages though, I'm realizing that I just don't use or need this kind of month page in a tarot reading notebook. So once I'm finished with this notebook, once I'm finished reading and filling out all of these pages, I'll probably just transition to a regular graph notebook that doesn't have this month layout at the beginning. I could always make my own month layout. I don't need it pre-printed and pre-decided for me. I was also using these other monthly pages to write down like videos and things that I noticed that really were interesting to me each month. But some months, like April, for example, and even May, and even like literally July and August, I did not really fill this out as much. So again, for a future tarot notebook, I can just have this as a list at the beginning of the book. I don't need specific like year at a glance things like this. Some people might use this to record their daily draws or any cards that were interesting. But for me, I just don't fill this out consistently enough to need pre-printed pages like this. So that's my plan for next year. Just a regular schmegular notebook after I fill this one out for my tarot notebook. The last like note-taking or memory-keeping notebook I've got to show is my Commonplace planner. How does this open? All right. I learned about commonplacing this year. It has been another fun thing to have on the side for whenever I feel like it. Commonplacing is writing down anything that you find like out in the wild that you want to note down. So some ideas that I've written down for my Commonplace notebook include passages from books or poetry, recipes. I wouldn't write down recipes in here, but maybe some people would. Quotes and proverbs. There's a lot of Chinese proverbs that I know I would love to just record in here. Anecdotes, anything you overheard, snippets of conversations, movies, or TV shows. Lists, like lists to watch, to read, to visit. Notes from podcasts, videos, TED Talks. This notebook is a Stalogy brand, so there's a name there, Stalogy. And this one is the half year. So Stalogy has notebooks that are full year and half year. Their 365 days notebooks has this faint date option on the top of each page, but it's so faint that I can just write down over it, like, which I do. My friend Katie has the full year version, and I chose the half year version because I wanted to start with like a smaller book. I didn't want to start with like a really huge book and then feel bad if I dropped off it halfway. So I chose the half year version, which has plenty of pages to work with still. So this commonplacing hobby or activity has been a really cool way to exercise my brain and just find different things that I want to write down and take note of forever. When I first learned about commonplacing, I tried doing it digitally instead of analog, and I found that it was just too easy for me to just straight up copy paste text from the web into the note. I don't want to do that. I want to be more intentional and like parse through the information and figure out what is actually important to note down. So this analog way of commonplacing has been so fulfilling and very stimulating for me. I've written down song lyrics here. I wrote down funny things from my friend Hangouts, notes from Tumblr posts, quotes from TV shows. I rewatched Steven Universe earlier this year. I also wrote down book summaries because I can have a poor memory, and if I'm reading multiple books in a series, I want to be able to flip back and remember what happened. So even though there are Wikipedia pages for these, which is where I got these plot summaries, it's still very fulfilling to me to just write these down, take the time to write them down and process them in my mind. I've seen there's a lot of different commonplace notebooks out there. I've seen like smaller commonplace notebooks, which seems so satisfying and so cute. But this definitely has been working for me. I also take notes from YouTube videos. Again, quotes from friends. I think there's maybe 15 pages that I filled out so far this year, which is not as much as I would like it to be, even though like potential is a myth. You know, we just do whatever we can do. I don't need to have standards for myself for how much or how little I write. So this is just a nice thing that I have on the side. I've really been enjoying this. I hope I can inspire other people to get into this if this is also what tickles your fancy. So this is my commonplace notebook. All right, last stretch here. This is a bunch more like activity books or like on the side books that I have been keeping. So I'm gonna quickly go through all of these, right? So this was intended to be a reference notebook of sorts. It's so cute, so tiny. I don't use this as much as I thought I would. I still have a lot of pages in it, so I can just keep it going till the next year. This is meant to be like a long-term collections or a long-term reference book. So I've got like my astrology signs in here. I've got like my measurements for if I buy clothes online, a bunch of activities, restful activities taken from this zine called Take a Rest by Wesley. So I just copied a lot of these ideas into here to keep track of. A list of libraries near me because I can never remember which libraries are part of which networks near me. But besides that, I haven't really found many other ways to fill up this notebook. I partially regret starting this notebook, not getting this notebook specifically because I love this artist, but just this notebook in general. It's not really something I keep up with or like reference even that often. It's like, okay, so it's like useful once in a blue moon. So I guess this is helpful for that reason. So that's one thing. I got the reference book. This is another book I haven't really used that much. I've kind of dropped it since the beginning of this year. I think in March, I made a video featuring this junk journal, and I was so excited to try junk journaling for essentially the first time. I have just fallen off of this. I've moved a lot of this outlet of junk journaling and scrapbooking into my diary, so I no longer really need to have this notebook as much. The issue with this notebook is that I did not get a proper notebook for scrapbooking. So for anyone else who is junk journaling or scrapbooking, I would definitely recommend getting a book with thicker binding and or a book that's actually meant for scrapbooking. You can find them on Etsy or on scrapbook.com. I filled out maybe half of these pages, but the other half, the spine just is not ideal. It's all bended over and stuff because I've been gluing stuff into the deeper parts of this book. Deeper parts is in straight into the spine here. This is tactilely very fascinating and it was very fun to put together, but I don't know right now what the fate of this book is going to be. I don't know if I'm going to finish. Somehow these other pages, I'm probably just going to do all my scrapbooking in my diary instead of in this separate notebook. So that's the fate of this junk journal I started. This is a sticker book that I discovered and I got this year. This is from the artist Arcasian. So here's their URL and their username, Arcasian. Essentially, the pages of a sticker book are made of wax paper. So you can just stick in any stickers that you want and they're completely repealable, unpeelable, repealable. So it still has all the stickiness here. And now I can save these for later and or just save them on display in this sticker book. So it's been really fun just collecting these stickers and putting them in an actual display book like this. And I get to move them around as I see fit. Sometimes if I'm kind of done with them, I'll also just stick them off and mail them to someone else. I'll grab an extra sheet of sticker paper that I have and just mail them stickers from my sticker book. So yeah, this is another fun notebook I've had this year, this sticker book. My tarot notebook, I think I've talked about this a few times on this channel. So I started this at the beginning of my tarot journey. I printed out these tarot cards and essentially copied these meanings from www.learntarot.com and essentially just made my own guidebook for these tarot cards. And this was really helpful when I was first starting my tarot journey because copying down these meanings really helped me think about and understand the essence of each of these cards. And for each card, they also have listed so many meanings. So it's really cool being able to reference so many different meanings whenever I need to go into this book. This year, I started using the front of this book. I had so many ideas for tarot journaling and never got around to them until literally this year, 4 years in. So I started taking notes on books that I've read and exercises that I saw in those books. I also started taking notes on videos, tarot videos that I have saved. I don't update this as often as I would like. Makes sense because my attention is scattered across so many different hobbies and things right now. But regardless of consistency, this is here as a reference book for me. So this is my tarot reference notebook, kind of like a commonplace notebook where I'll also write down notes from videos and blog posts and things that I find out on the web related to tarot. The last fun or on the side journal that I have is my family journal. So this is very personal to me. So I'll just share the front page that I dedicated to it. This journal is dedicated to the Sarah who felt envious that she didn't have grandparents like everyone else in school, or family that she knew about, or family history stories, or seemingly a place or a name in her family. Who asked, "Where do I come from?" Your family, your history, your world are much bigger than you realize. Let's keep track of it here. So the context for this journal, this family journal, is that I did not grow up with grandparents. My dad's mom passed the year I was born. My dad's dad lived in Vietnam. I only met him once that I can remember in my life. On my mom's side, I barely know her parents as well. Growing up, I never had this grandparent connection or even aunt and uncle connection that other people in class seemed to have. Even at family parties, no one there seemed to be able to connect with me. I didn't know how to connect with other people at these family parties. Kids my age didn't know how to connect with them. Uncles and aunts who were not my age didn't know how to connect with them either. But now, this year specifically, I've been making a point to ask more questions of my dad about his history, his family, his past. So I've been taking notes of the things that I learn in this journal afterwards so that I can remember them and actually look back on them. It's kind of like bullet point format where I don't have to write like long essays. I just write down the things I remember in a casual format and little musings that I have. I also found a couple of photos that I had in my drawer somewhere, so I've stuck them in here. I'm not really sure how the rest of this planner, or sorry, not planner, a journal. I'm not really sure how the rest of this journal is going to look, if it's going to have any more decoration or if it's just going to be like straight up writing. So we'll see. I also don't update this as often as I would like. I think I have maybe 3 entries in here total, but that's okay. It's just here for whenever I want it to be here. I don't need to fill up everything immediately all the time. These things just take a lot of time to put together and to collect over the years. So this activity, this hobby is really teaching me patience and to just do what I enjoy and feel like in the moment. All right, now for the entire journal stack. Oh my God, is that it? I think that is it. No, one more. Oh my God. All of my notebooks. All right, well, this has been fun, right? If you are also a stationery fiend or a notebook fiend or just a little bit extra when it comes to stationery, notebooks, planning, journaling, how much of a fiend are you? And or in what ways are you a fiend? Why are you also a fiend? Just tell me all the things. Well, with that is all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Bye. Time to put these away.